we have the footage.
Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Want to remind everybody I appreciate your support, so please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There's a PayPal link down there for anybody who wants to share some love. Every little bit is appreciated. And the StreamYard link is there for anybody that wants to join the panel. We're going to go over some more of the insanity tonight. We got some insane serial coming at us. It's serial activity repeatedly, time and again, between Frosty Flake and his autistic brother, Frosted Mini Bleat, all the sheeple, the bitch-ass slaves. We're going to go through some more of the shorts and multiple topics. There's going to be one topic that's going to kind of run through a few of them, and that's the relationships as we develop in our context of a spiritual nature and how they should actually operate, again, in my opinion. And we're going to have some of those examples in some of these shorts called trad wife is what they call them in modern times, trad wife and trad women. So again, feel free to join the panel, and we're going to get right into it. We've got the first one here is the worst thing a wife can say to her husband. The main part of a relationship, as I see it, between myself and my companion is the protection mode. The supportive measure in that is why we've come today with these modern technologies and all the things that men have done as a matter of comfort and convenience of providing for their women. In return, there's a opposing dynamic when it comes to women and the description of barefoot and big-bellied in the kitchen, this kind of stuff. Again, that goes to the protection mode and the fact that men are the ones that supplied the comfort and convenience. We worked our way into the situation we're in, guys, so pay attention. And women, understand that there's a basic complex that's different in men than women. And we have these certain inherent things in us that are an opposing dynamic to yours, but they're not as an opposition. There is a balance.
Human beings need to feel needed, men more so than women, because men can't seem to justify their own existence. So unless they're needed, useful, productive, making a difference, they can't tolerate their own being. A man, when he gets married, needs to know that he is useful, necessary, important, that he is needed.
And that's the inherent thing about coming together with women. That's one of those things that a lot of men feel they need to be complete. But I remind you, supposedly Jesus didn't have a wife or children. So the accomplishments are not limited because you don't have certain things that other people propose that you should have to have a good moral standing in a relative placement in society. Just because you're not married doesn't mean you're not a qualified member of the community and have a family mindset or anything like that.
So the worst thing a wife can say to her husband is, never mind, I'll do it myself. Anything the husband offers, accept it graciously, give him credit for it, even if it's not exactly what you need from him. But if you...
The opposing dynamic there, ladies, if you're going to give your husband credit, make sure that he's doing it under the righteous things. And of course, this takes a mentality of yourself, of being mature and adulting in life. The ability to accept your own responsibility for choosing a man that may not be following the Lord. If you get what I'm saying. I don't care if you're Christian or Catholic or spiritual or religious or anything. It's a matter of where is that credit actually coming from? Is he inspired by something greater than him and following that as a great purpose in life? Or is he using and abusing other elements in life to portray that he's this creditable thing?
Accept what he's giving, then you can move him to what you really need from him. But if you reject what he's giving, he'll quit. You emasculate him. All human beings.
See, you have to be able to understand that a man's purpose is much more than just protecting a woman or bearing children. There are many more things that men need in life to be fulfilled. But when it comes to the women, it helps him fulfill those other things in life if that woman is supporting. Not necessarily submissive, but supporting. And in that, a lot of context, it will be submissive. It will be understanding that, hey, if this man is creditable, then I have to be submissive to his credibility.
The Swiss court has just sentenced a writer to 2 months in jail for calling an LGBT activist a fat lesbian. The writer was found guilty of defamation on Monday, and the verdict was immediately praised by the lesbian activist group LOS as, quote, an important moment for justice and rights of LGBTQI people in Switzerland, which means he was found guilty of defamation for calling her a lesbian. And the verdict was praised as a victory for lesbian rights.
So they're praising lesbian rights, praising themselves as lesbians, and saying it's defamation to call them a lesbian.
I don't think that men should ever call women fat, and I don't think men even should ever call women lesbians. But if the verdict is a victory for lesbian rights, then that implies that the victim was a lesbian, which means that he did not defame her. He was just sort of impolite, which is not good. But does an impolite remark really merit 60 days in jail? The Swiss court has just sentenced.
So again, it goes to the context of emotional feelers getting hurt. You don't have the right to impose upon somebody else's freedom of speech because what they called you, even if they did intend it, is true and correct, and you claim it to be defamation. It proves in this case their own insanity, their own ignorance. We're getting pathetic people, and understand these are full-grown people. These aren't little 18-year-old students just come out of high school. These are, as you see, many of them in any kind of capacity in these organizational structures are of age, of greater age, generally.
What is a woman?
That's a stupid question, dude.
It's not a stupid question in today's day and age. Back in the 1700s, 1500s, 1300s, yeah, that's probably a pretty fucking stupid question back then. But with all the insanity today, people actually think it's a real good question. Because the people that can't answer it in the simplicity that it was intended, the spiritual intent, not some scientific modification that can never prove itself, but only pose a theoretical idea.
That's a dumb question.
What is a woman? It's not a trick question. What is a woman?
Someone who identifies
Someone who identifies
as a woman.
as a woman. No, that's not true. You can't define it by using the very term woman to define it. You have to go outside of the term woman to determine the definition of a woman. You can't say a driver is someone who drives. You have to define drive.
You can't answer the question with the question. Yeah, define the woman without saying woman.
It's a social role.
It's a social role. No, it's not even a social role. There's a social role for women that is distinctly different than a social role for a man. Again, ladies, and I'm sorry if it hurts, and gentlemen, you should be proud that this nation and all nations around this world, everything, all the technology was created for the comfort and convenience of women by men.
You're in college, paying for an education. What is a woman?
How about you talk to someone with media training? How about you talk to someone
You don't need media training. It's not a trick.
So now the lady is trying to placate that you need media training in order to have a definition for woman, when there's a definition in multiple dictionaries throughout the history of time. And that's what they're trying to avoid. They're trying to say, no, that's no longer correct because I'm insane. And you have to identify me by my pronouns. That's the insanity, not the definition. That's what they're avoiding.
I did some investigation into the derivation of the North American European public education system and found out that it was based on the Prussian model. And the Prussians produced a universal education system in the late 1800s because they were afraid they were losing military superiority, and they wanted to produce a cadre of mindless, obedient soldiers. That was expressly the purpose. And then that model was adopted by corporate types mostly, who wanted to produce cadres of obedient workers. And that's why the desks are in rows, and that's why there's factory bells, and that's why it's top-down leadership. And it's worse than that, because the people who built the schools were consciously aiming at eradicating the will of the students who were part of the system, because they wanted them to be obedient. Now, there was a demand for factory workers at the time, but that as a model, especially now in the modern world where things change so quickly and people have to be dynamic, it certainly has nothing to do with the way people live now. But the education system hasn't changed, except perhaps for the worst, in 150 years.
And he's absolutely correct. This is what I've been pointing out. The public education system is a military venue, folks. It was based on the Prussian model, just as he said. It's a military forum, folks.
He caught the CIA selling drugs in South Central LA and then exposed it on a hearing on CNN. You ever seen this? Jamie, pull it up.
I will tell you, Director Deutsch, as a former Los Angeles police narcotics detective, that the agency has dealt drugs throughout this country for a long time. Director Deutsch, I will refer you to 3 specific agency operations known as Amadeus,
Operation Amadeus,
Pegasus,
Operation Pegasus,
and Watchtower.
Operation Watchtower. He was involved in one of them. He knew about the others, and they actually tried to hire him as one of their operatives.
I have Watchtower documents heavily redacted by the agency. I was personally exposed to CIA operations and recruited by CIA personnel who attempted to recruit me in the late 70s to become involved in protecting agency drug operations in this country. I have been trying to get this out for 18 years, and I
Been trying to get it out for 18 years. And they try to tell him, give him a couple options. Well, you should have done this, or you should have done that, or should do this, or you should do that. He's already done it. And they keep shutting him out. This is the same thing they're doing with anybody that tries to bring forth truth about their corruption and everything. We have to understand that this is the norm. We have to do better. We have to be more studious. Not when we're of age and they try to recruit us for the CIA later in our years, but in our younger years when we're bringing up the children. That's when we have to be studious, to let them know that these are the kind of things that the government does.
have the evidence.
You should immediately bring that information to the Los Angeles Police Department.
Should immediately bring that information to the Los Angeles Police Department. Watch his response.
I did bring this information out 18 years ago, and I got shot at and forced out of LAPD because of it.
He was in LAPD. He reported it, ended up getting shot at and forced out of the force. See, they placate to the public years later that they still want him to do that. And that's the course of action, and this is the result.
It's wild. He caught the CIA.
McDonald's is trying to take advantage of everyone too drunk to do math. I'm never too drunk to do math.
Greetings at the Fallen. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing all right.
Good, good. Glad to hear that. Got any comments yet, or just hanging out for now?
No, I'm just hanging out for now. And what's really weird is that guy says, I'm too drunk to do math.
Yeah. This, pay attention to the math they do, guys. This is one of the reasons I don't deal with their bullshit, because they try to placate these stupid, silly games about the menus and stuff. And when I find a way to get a better price by switching the menu up according to their items, and they say, well, no, that'd be a Happy Meal or whatever. No, this is the way I want it rung up. I'm giving you my order in the order I want it. So we have to understand when they, well, no, that's the Big Mac meal, or that's this. No, I want it this, this, and this. Pay attention to the math they pull on you. Watch this.
To celebrate my first year in comedy, I went to McDonald's. That's how drunk I was. I wanted 20 nuggets. I look at the menu. 20-piece nugget is $8.79. But the 5-piece is $1. So if you get 5 4-piece chicken nuggets, it's 20 nuggets for $5. I was like, yeah, can I get 5 4-piece chicken nuggets in a 20-piece box? I get my 20-piece nugget, pay $5. Go to the back of the second line, pull out a hair, put it in the box. Went to the front of the line. Said, hey, there's a hair in my 20-piece chicken nugget. I mean, my $8.79 back, please. I get my $8.79, pocket $3.79, order 5 4-piece chicken nuggets. You know they rain barbecue sauce all the way home. Because fuck McDonald's.
Let them know you're not going to play that game when they come up with menu items like that. I don't know if I'd go back about the hair thing, but it just gives you the general concept of what's happening. I thought it was a great video.
There was a Bible verse that scared me more than anything in the world. So Jesus is now preaching as God. So a lot of people are like, whoa. And he says, many will come to me in the day of judgment and says, Lord, Lord, have I not prophesied in your name? Have I not casted out demons in your name? And he says, be away from me. I never knew you. And that paralyzed me. Why did those people get casted away from God? Because when they presented themselves in front of God, they said, look what I did. I did this. I did this. The whole reference is you're not good enough to go into heaven. It's sheerly off of the fact that God died for your sins, making him the only true reason on why you're going into heaven.
And so this goes to the merits of one's actions. Again, the credence. It's a spiritual credence that flows through me. I am not the spirit. I am part of it, and it flows through me as the pass-through. Both ways. So when credit goes out, comes through me, it's supposed to go back to him through me again. That's the recognition, not me myself, but the message and the route.
Wizard.
Yeah.
Do you think they like mispronounce it as pasture or then pass through?
No, it's you mean pasture?
Right, but like where you were talking, it passes through you instead of pasture.
Right. It's the message is passing through me, and that's I don't know what correlation you're making with pasture, but I am the pass through, and when we think about the term pasture, that's the field where sheep eat, where cattle eat. And that would, in correlation to us, that would be the manna. The manna is the love, and that's the knowledge, getting to know things in our lives, whether it be our external environment or other people in that environment, even animals and other creatures in that environment. We're just a pass-through for a message, both coming and going, from our observances through our mind, as well as observances through our heart. So I don't know what the pasture is that you're correlating there. We are the pass-through for the message of life.
I just asked the question, you answered it. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. I hope I did anyway. So, so it comes down to the thing again. Um, if you truly want to accept the truth is nothing came from you, and this is part of the 12 steps, admitting that there's a power greater than yourself, that you're powerless over that. You can't do anything in this life if not for the fact that something else gave you that power to begin with.
Became my favorite Bible verse because now I know my good works aren't what gets me into heaven, right? Truly, I could say to somebody, when somebody goes, you only do this to get into heaven, I would go, no, my friend. Nothing I do on earth will ever be good enough for me to go into heaven. It is
Nothing I do will ever be good enough for me to get in heaven. See, the heaven is the thought, and the thought is your intent. Now, are you intending to do it in love, or are you intending to do it in your own willful desire and wants and gluttony and greed? You know,
only because Christ died on the cross for my sins that gives me the privilege into walking into the kingdom. So my scariest Bible verse became my favorite Bible verse.
I hope you guys understand that. The thing about it is that that when we think that this world around us is our world and that we're the authority, that's part of the problem with the gurus out there professing that thing about we the people. Even I do it sometimes without explaining it a little more deeply. But we the people are the ones that delegated the authority to Congress that then makes rules for government. But the problem is that we the people are inspired by what in order to do that? What gave us the inspiration to say that we have the authority to do so? So even as we the people, that's a noun phrase again, just like a living soul. There's a distinct difference in the language. So we have to be very careful how we use it. Again, coin your words or purse your lips.
What do you think gave the people that will to give their authority to someone else?
Say that again, brother.
What do you think gave the people the will to give that authority to someone else?
That comfort and convenience. See, that's part of the problem with the feminist movement. I think is that once women were given a stature that somehow they felt somewhere along the line that they deserve all this comfort and convenience, we forget about the days where we didn't have those conveniences. We were still living in caves. So what is the difference between women's rights back then and women's rights today? The difference is the technology. And again, we brought it on ourselves as men by placating that we should provide those comforts and convenience for the women to make them feel comfortable. That would help them feel more protected. That's a falsity. Just because you feel comfortable doesn't mean you are better protected, particularly in today's modern world. Don't you understand, ladies? Haven't you seen it? Women go back to these abusive relationships repeatedly. Do you feel protected in that? That's fucking insane. Absolutely. Dean Phillips says, been suggested I'm not one of the people because that is a political group. Yes, we the people. That's a noun phrase. And those terms are delegated according to an association. That association is still with another man. What about the association with the one that knew you before he formed you in the belly? That is always supposed to come first. And yet here we find ourselves giving credence to ourselves or another man. That's the problem. Absolutely. Yeah, women choose the bear. I saw that on whatever the other night. Women choose the bear. Women will prefer and say that they feel safer out in the woods with bears instead of men. If there are a bunch of men out in the woods, women wouldn't feel safe. But if you replace them with bears, they may not still feel safe, but they're going to feel safer than they would if it was full of men. That's literally what the discussion was, and that's literally what these women were determining. Most of them. It's fucking crazy.
They were going to have their annual meeting in San Diego, and there was a hotel snafu, so they had to reschedule. And so Vegas said, "We'll take you." The MGM Marina, which became the MGM Grand, "We'll take you." 4,000 physicists had their annual meeting in Las Vegas, and let me tell you, there was a news headline: "Physicists in town, lowest casino take ever." Physicists were told to never return to Vegas.
They had an event in Las Vegas because one of their venue events was canceled somewhere else, and Vegas piped up and said, "We'll take you." So they held this physics event in Vegas that had thousands of physicists visit. And for some reason, the tourist population and the revenue and everything for that particular event, held over a period of 4 days or something, was down drastically from any other event. It was funny. I just had to bring that. It actually goes to the subject of the bells and whistles of all the casinos and everything drives people there, but you put a serious topic up and nobody wants to discuss it. That's why I'm sitting here with 15 viewers right now. Talking about real life situations and trying to explain real life activities and psychology and backgrounds on things, and nobody wants to learn about anything. They'd rather watch somebody else's dramatic life, whether it be on a boob tube or on the internet, while they munch on their processed foods, drinking their poison drinks. And by gosh, if the lights and sirens sound, they might get up and go look out the window. Funny shit.
How all of this came to be.
Oh, she doesn't like how all of this came to be.
This is Jada and Will Smith, and this is funny as hell. This is somebody that a lot of people evidently look up to in this life because he's such a grand star, right? But here he is getting cucked out on public television and crying in front of the world because his wife is asking him how he feels about her sucking some other man's dick. Funny shit. You want to be part of that popularity contest? This is what they're going to want to see. They're going to want to see the drama. They don't want to see what you learned in life. They want to see the drama behind the bedroom, the dirty laundry.
Jada. Me. I don't like how this came to be. You sucked his dick, and now you're complaining about your own actions, that people have pointed out to you your own actions. I would have been like, everything you've said so far is asinine, childish. Just say right now on camera, I cheated and sucked during a marriage. Just say that, and we can end this red table talk. I don't want to go about your feelings. I don't care how you felt when you sucked. Happy blowjob, sad blowjob. Doesn't make a fucking difference to me.
See, that's alpha. That's turning the tables on the one that's, like I said, Jada being masculine and trying to effeminate her man on public in front of the world, and he did it. He instead of coming back like a true man and say, "Listen, why don't you just admit that you suck somebody else's cock and you're the whore, and that you should be banished for the rest of your life. You're fucking scarlet letter, whatever that is, adultery. You committed one of the bastardly sins, and you want to sit here and talk to me about it in public venue and try to cuck me out. I ain't gonna cry in front of you, bitch. You only prove yourself to be a hoe." And Will proved himself to be stupid in that aspect as well when he turned around and went up on that stage and slapped Chris Rock over it. That's just fucking insane, folks. You're going to stand up and bitch slap somebody in front of everybody and then get cucked out after it because your wife admits that she was out sucking somebody else's cock. I wonder what kind of psychopathy he's got going on in his mind. Probably not very stable.
How all of this came to be.
Oh, she doesn't like how all of this came to be.
She doesn't like how she wasn't satisfied with Will and accidentally slipped and fell on somebody else's cock deep in her throat.
Poor Jada. Me. I don't like how this came to be. You sucked his dick, and now you're complaining about your own actions, that people have pointed out to you your own actions. I would have been like, everything you've said so far is asinine.
Totally asinine. It was asinine as Will Smith. If I'd have been Will Smith, I'd have let her know that's just fucking asinine to even ask. I'm the one that's going to conduct the fucking interview, you dumb cunt. Again, excuse my language.
In America, we have a few hundred genders. How many genders do you guys have in Russia?
I see only women and men. There is no between. A couple weeks ago, I was in California. I was like on a coffee shop. It's like, I really want to go bathroom. It's like, can I go bathroom? Okay, they told me code, and I'm kind of like, 2 bedroom, all gender. It's like, what is this? Where I have to go?
So they had 2 bathrooms, and they labeled them both all gender bathrooms.
I stayed like 5 seconds there, like, where's woman? Where's man? I locked the door. Anybody inside? It's like, okay. I'm from big mountains, and we have only 2 genders.
In America.
Only 2 genders. It's known around the world. That's the way it's been for eons, people. And all of a sudden, in recent history, all of a sudden we have a bunch of quackers out there saying, oh, no, there's a bunch more. Don't you know, we discovered a bunch more. And that's your insanity, trying to come up with some kind of excuse.
Have you ever watched a CNN host hold back tears and say, Trump was right? Watch this.
Glenn Kessler from the Washington Post had a fact check about Joe Biden from earlier this month, noting that Hunter Biden admitted in court in July that he was in fact paid substantial sums from Chinese companies. Kessler wrote, Hunter Biden reported nearly $2.4 million in income in 2017 and $2.2 million in income in 2018.
This is the same president that took classified documents to his private residence, had him down in the basement and various different rooms, had distributed some to some colleges somewhere and this and that, and and now he turned around and tried to claim that against Trump. They come after him for bank fraud, trying to say that he screwed somebody in these deals with the assessment of his property, and come to find out, no, that's actually normal everyday business process, and here we find out, and of course this is older news, that he says, oh no, my son had nothing to do with any of that. And here now we have absolute records, and evidently Trump knew there were absolute records back then.
Most of which came from Chinese or Ukrainian interests. But this directly goes against what Joe Biden said in the debate in 2020 with Donald Trump. Take a listen.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about what are you talking about? China.
What you none of that is true. He made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
that is simply
and various
not
other places.
True.
So it's from 2 different debates, but I mean, Trump was right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Trump's been more right than any president that's been wrong, including Clinton and Obama and the Bushes.
I actually like you. Like I literally have said, like, I would sign an NDA.
And this goes to a more modern mindset, I think. Men that are waking up to the concept that they've been big sluts too, and that they're looking for particular women. And I think this goes to a biblical sense, whether people realize it or not, in that there are more children of the desolate than there are those of the married wife. And so, men coming up today and knowing that there are so many children out there that we have to protect, not just as men, but as men and women. Let's not exclude the women, but men themselves as the protectorate role, realizing that there's more children that need to be protected, are waking up to a greater responsibility prior to that fact of bringing children into the world to begin with. So many of them are becoming more and more abstinent, and holding back and looking for that perfect woman, that trad woman. And this is one of those things. Women, a lot of these younger ladies are starting out as hoes, and men don't want hoes for the most part. They don't want a woman that's going to go out and slop around because they're tired of them, or that they have to compete with other men to even get in the bed. Men are becoming more sapiosexual, in my opinion, of course.
And like never like let people know about our relationship, but like I actually like you.
So confirm or deny, are you a pathological liar? So
But I'm not a whore anymore. I don't do porn anymore.
But I'm not a whore anymore. I don't do porn anymore. But that's part of the problem. I marry you. Guess what happens to my reputation? My reputation gets to be known because of you and your whoring.
I literally said I would stop being a whore for you, and I literally stopped.
Listen, you're an attractive woman, but the fact that you've done
It was a hiccup.
It was a hiccup. No, you did it intentionally. You were misled. You're a woman with all these materialistic dreams and whatnot that you believe you deserve because of all the comfort and convenience that you see your mom and your grandma go through, and how society is supposed to be getting better and better without having to do a fucking thing for it, except saying, well, the man's not doing his job. We've been doing it all our life, ladies.
Wizard, I mean, just to accept, what happened to forgiveness?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Nobody has forgiveness in their heart anymore. They don't give a fuck because they're not willing to repent first and foremost. You can't think about forgiveness unless you learn how to repent for your own fucking actions. How can you ask someone for forgiveness? How can you expect to forgive somebody else if you don't know the first thing about baptism and repentance? People don't use their reason and logic. They use their belief. Well, I was born in this belief system, and I'm going to believe in my religion. I don't care what you say. Well, what about what you say? Well, he said this, and she said this, and it's written here this. No, what do you say? Nobody wants to say what's on their heart because they don't have anything there. They've been misled all their fucking life to believe in a materialistic world that exists up here in an imagination, something that they have authority over, that they can make happen. And that's that credence thing. No, you didn't make a motherfucking thing happen. People are delusional.
You might think, well, how?
Here's another interesting one. As it goes to the supply and demand chain and your choices. Same thing with women. Guys and gals, same thing with men.
Well, you want to go buy a shampoo. You might think, well, how many shampoos do you want to choose from? And you think, well, how about 1,000? I want to walk into a pharmacy and I want to see 1,000 shampoos on the shelf because then I can make the best choice. And so then you let people have access to the 1,000 shampoos that there are on a pharmacy shelf, and you test them to see if they're satisfied with their purchase. And the answer is they're not satisfied at all. And the reason for that is, what's the probability that you pick the best shampoo out of that 1,000? And the probability is 0, because like, what the hell do you know about shampoo? For sure, you picked the suboptimal choice. Now, if there was only one shampoo, well, that might annoy you too. What you probably want is like 3. Infinite choice is equivalent to endless anxiety and the abyss. Well,
So the way I relate this is that you have certain priorities in your life, both women and men. And in those priorities, you might have an abundant list of things that you'd like in life. But there are certain essentials that you need to determine in your life that you are going to stand on. So I urge people to make that very short list of certain essentials that you're going to stand on and use that as your base construction, just like shampoos. Instead of having 1,000 different categories that you're going to go down and check mark and you say, yeah, he fits that, he fits that, he fits that, and looking for that very perfect shampoo. Be able to deal with the imperfectness and the inconveniences and the uncomfortabilities, the realities of good questions that might cause you a little difficulty. Not everything in life is easy. Not everything in life is clean. Sometimes you have to deal with dirt.
Wizard, what's your short list?
Honor, truthfulness, integrity, ability to not be swayed, knowing the truth. It's like, you know, I got a nice thing here today. They sent me a nice big packet as it relates to my companion because some Yahoo wanted to come out and try to sell my companion insurance benefits. So in my questioning, I asked him, well, it's a benefit that she's already eligible for, correct? He says, well, yeah. I said, then why does she have to pay for it? If she's already eligible for the benefit, then it says that she's not required. The benefit is she's already eligible. So what is the thing that you're wanting her to get to pay you for it? See? And that goes to that probated estate. They want to be able to act as an insurance company to be able to administrate the estate through a board of directors in case somebody gets sued along the way, right? No matter what kind of medical condition it is, if somebody sues, then they get to determine the court suit. They get to control that court suit, not you. This is the whole problem with the administrative courts. It's all an insurance scheme. So again, if she was already eligible for the benefit, then what says that she has to pay for it if the documentation says that she's already eligible?
So do you think they were trying to act as guardianship over her?
Well, yeah, they were trying to make a claim on that by getting her to sign a document. Okay. And so when I started asking him these questions and he didn't know how to answer and tried to keep giving me excuses, I finally got frustrated and said, tell you what, it's just time for you to leave. And he was looking me dead in the face when we were having that conversation. And instead of packing his stuff up and getting ready to leave, he turned around and looked at my wife as if though she was going to tell him to go ahead and stay. So I had to catch his attention and say, listen, motherfucker, you evidently didn't understand me. I just told you to fucking leave. Well, he turned around and called DHS on us. Tried saying I was an abusive caretaker. So we got a notice, and well, first of all, somebody evidently tried to make several attempts, which I can vouch is not true, because if there's no noise coming from within the apartment, or they hear noise coming from within the apartment, and they knock on this door, those dogs go wild. They are our natural doorbell. There's no way we cannot hear it, even if we're sleeping. It's a violent heyday of chaos barking. So they claim they made several attempts. Then finally, okay, they left a note, a business card. So we were prepared and we were there when they knocked, and we let her in. We asked her what it was about. She told us. I said, well, is there another witness? Do you have your witness that can come forth and talk to us about this? And she says, oh no. I said, well, then you have no evidence whatsoever. You have a complaint because somebody got their feelers hurt, and you can go ahead and bring that forth to us when you can see us in court. Oh, okay. She left. That was a couple weeks ago. We got a notice in the mail today, and out of 12 points that they have to qualify for some kind of record of abuse or whatever they were trying to make a claim of, there were 12 points of zero evidence, all marked none. So we have to think about this and realize, folks, I'm not here to be aggressive to anybody. But when you come to my door and try to take advantage of my wife and I shut you down and you get butthurt, you beta cuck corporate motherfucking bitch ass fucking slaves, you better know you're talking to a real man. I'm here to protect my companion, and I don't give a fuck what your job is. Yeah, bring two witnesses. That's, if every last one of them comes and tells us that she's eligible for this benefit, great. Then why does she have to pay for it if she's already eligible? So think about this stuff, folks. You got to understand what your choices are, but understand what your priorities that you're using to make those choices are first and foremost. Because if your priorities are screwed up, you're going to screw up your whole fucking life. Not just yours, but another woman's or multiple women and children. You have a great responsibility when it comes to the desolate children that are greater than those of the married wife, gentlemen.
Wizard, what did you do about that eligibility?
Say what?
What did you do about that eligibility?
Oh, Social Security. Hey, she's eligible for this, right? Yeah, okay. See, they've already got it on record that she's eligible.
Come on, Garrett.
This again goes to what I just spoke about. If we're going to be bringing children into the world, we can't be the bastards running around impregnating multiple women and creating desolate children of women that aren't married, whores and sluts and whatever you want to call them. We got to understand that false patriotic daddy that's helping supply this shit. If we're going to grow up as real men, we can't just placate the message. We have to be an image and likeness of that message. We have to look like real men. Pay attention.
Take your shirt off, Garrett. Okay, now hold on. Now, Garrett's a killer. Am I right? Garrett, how old are you?
29.
Garrett, does this bother you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, doesn't bother you enough. Because if it did,
I
you
agree.
wouldn't have it. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
I mean it.
He's talking about his gut and his belly and stuff, and all the flab. He's 29 years old, and he's got the weight there, but it shows some kind of laziness, sloth, a sin. Of course, it could just be diet, but that's part of it. If you're going to be lazy, you take in that processed foods and poison drinks instead of tending the land and bearing the fruits of your labor in the natural sense for prosperity and abundance, so you can go forth and multiply properly. Again, image and likeness. It's a big advertisement, folks, particular to our children. I've been screaming and telling people all my life, you ain't my daddy, because my daddy wouldn't be and do the things you're doing. I know there's something better.
Now, come on, put your shirt down. We don't need this. You don't need this. You got kids?
Yes, sir. 2 sons.
Okay. This is the last time I want you to take your shirt off in front of a group of people and not be in the shape you want your children to be in.
What Andy did for me.
See, that goes to that message of you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach him to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And that's the principle. You teach your children, you bring your children up in the right way by showing them. And they will never waver from it. They too will grow up and be real men like the real men that raised them. The real women will grow up to be like the real women that raised them. We've got a culture of sluts and bastards because women and men have not been acting appropriately for a long time.
Me is he kept me accountable, and he told me that I wasn't being my best self. And there's people in this world that can look at that and they can say, wow, he shouldn't do that to him, this is crazy, he's being mean. He's being mean. Or you could use that as a resource, and you could tap into that limitless potential that you have inside of you, and you could become a fucking animal.
Garrett, take your shirt off.
And that's what I urge everybody. I urge you to become that fucking animal. That's what you're meant to be. You're meant to be a beast, to destroy the beast that would otherwise destroy you. We have to understand this. You have talents, but they're not meek. They're not weak. It's a power and a force that's greater than you. Rely on it. Understand that you are subject to that higher power. You're the pass-through. And as long as you can keep providing that pass-through, it's going to empower those below you, those that come after you, your children, the next generations, those others around you.
Fact that a woman will get in a car designed and built by a man and go to a studio that was built by men and sit on a chair that was built by men and talk to a camera that was built by men and tell the world that men ain't shit.
Cis, heterosexual men, absolutely, especially white men.
Shows she is worse than low IQ. She's a bad person. Men have built a society so safe in the West that women can sit on TV and hate us. You couldn't do that unless men built you a safe society in the first place. The fact that a woman will...
You understand, ladies? We're not trying to be oppressive. There are certain things that come about only because of men. You think you'd have a nice, comfortable home if it weren't for the men that constructed that home? How about them roads that you travel on and them cars that you drive around in, travel in? Would you rather be riding around on mules like Jesus?
Hey, what do you think take your shirt off means?
He was showing the body, the physique, and how he was flabby and stuff, and he wasn't in great shape. If you think you're a great man, you better be in great shape. If you think
Is your mind more than your body?
Your mind is part of your body. And if you think you can be in great shape, then you do what you need to. You don't grow up with all the flab. Now, I've never been heavy set, but when I got out of prison, I weighed 185 pounds. They called me the shit brick house because it wasn't 185 pounds on a 5'7" frame of nothing but flab. It was all solid muscle. It's the way I've always been. Even at 105 pounds, I've since put on 40 pounds. I'm doing pretty fucking good. And that's all it's about, is that image and likeness. If you want to present that you love this God that you cherish, and you are in an image and likeness of him, then why are you weighing 350 pounds at 6'2"? Huh?
It depends on what you think the image and likeness is.
Well, an image and likeness of a good, vile, strong man is one that can stand up, right? One that can run, right? One that can battle. One that can protect. Not somebody sitting around eating processed foods and drinking poison drinks, killing themselves. That's the importance of that diet, folks. Got to understand that. That's a medical society. And again, that's another military forum, guys. The medical society is a military branch of the government. It's a military government.
They are. They really don't.
Know my name, I know my age, I know where I live.
That's not you, though. You know, if you ask the average person who they are, they'll give you their name. They'll say, I'm Bob Proctor, but I'm not. Bob and Proctor are two words.
You understand that? Bob and Proctor are two words. It is not a name. It's called the legal name, which consists of a first name and last name. They are distinctly different. Understand that. This is a basic in grammar, folks.
My parents give them to me. They're called names, but it's not me. It's my name. Then somebody will say, well, this is me, but this isn't me either. It's my body. Like, you never phone down here to the studio and say, body won't be in today. It's sick.
Okay.
You know, we don't say am hand or am leg. It's my hand, my leg, my body, my name. Who am I? See, I think we live simultaneously on 3 planes of understanding.
Pay attention. This is the Trinity, the 3 planes of understanding. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. 2 of them are metaphysical, 1 is physical.
We're spiritual creatures. We have an intellect, and we live in physical bodies.
So the spirit is a metaphysical. The mind, which is a thought, our thoughts, those are metaphysical. And we live in the physical body, and those 2 metaphysical realms play together in our body.
Because we lack awareness or understanding of who we are, we're totally locked into a physical world, and we let things outside of us control us. 95% of the population are reacting to life. They're not.
Instead of letting those 2 metaversal things within us play together, like I said, one, you might see one as a good guy and one as a bad guy. It's the one on one shoulder and one on the other shoulder. They're opposing dynamics. And generally, there's supposed to be a communication between the 2 so you can get a balanced reaction. That's all we're doing in this life.
So why were we created in this life?
In my perception, it's a matter of getting to know. It's an experience of our spirituality that we otherwise wouldn't have unless we are descended into these supposed planes, this physical plane, so we can recognize the duality within us and realize that we are an ascension being. I think we actually ascend, come back down, ascend, come back down, ascend, come back down. We are many people throughout our lives, and it's the spirit that is ascending and coming back down.
Eminem might be gay. It's a question. Is he gay?
And I'm just curious what you meant by that exactly.
I mean, I'm gay.
I'm just a little confused here because gay can mean a lot of things.
I'm a homosexual.
Meaning?
I like men.
The FCC won't let me be or let me be me, so let me be. Is Eminem gay? I don't know. But I do know that if you call your lawyer crying because somebody is rapping your song on stage and that somebody is Vivek Ramaswamy, you ain't hard, is all I'm saying. I'm not afraid of Eminem. Give me all the smoke, Eminem. Send me a cease and desist. I rapped a couple of your lyrics on the show.
Do you think you'll come back in your next dissension as gay?
I have no idea. I don't even think about it. It's not something that I think I would recognize at this point. I don't know too many people that evidently have lived past lives and come back and remember it. I don't know if that would actually become a normal thing. I think it's a part of the process of having that experience so that the spirit itself can grow. See, I think it's a spiritual thing where that spirit puts something down here to grow. And in that growth, there comes experiences that are relative to its comprehension or its understanding. And every last one of them is going to be different. Does that make sense?
I just asked the questions.
Good deal. Good deal. So the next one is the last one, and then we're going to scoot.
Trump walking out of 60 Minutes interview.
Are you ready for some tough questions?
You're going to be fair.
I'm going to be fair.
Just be fair.
But you're okay with some tough questions?
No.
You're not okay with tough
I want
questions?
him to be fair. You don't ask Biden tough questions.
I didn't want to have this kind of
Of course you
angry. No, I didn't. No, I
Excuse
didn't.
me, I'm going to do one or two more.
Well, I said I'm going to ask you
Inappropriately
tough
brought up.
questions.
They were inappropriately
But
brought up right from the beginning. No, your first question was, this is going to be tough questions. You don't ask Joe Biden. I saw your interview with Joe.
And this is the point I want to point out here. I've recognized the same thing. When it comes to these interviews with Biden and in comparison to other presidents, there's a distinct difference in the questions that they ask them. They don't ask him the really tough questions on foreign policy and things like that. They might ask him some controversial questions on everyday news type things about what's happening in Hamas or Israel or whatever, but they don't ask him any really tough state of the nation questions or anything like that. And notice they've gotten away from even asking him about any kind of nefarious deeds and stuff in the background. They're not putting any kind of an investigation out towards him anywhere in the public. None of the news reporters or anything, despite the fact that they already know, like we saw earlier with Hunter Biden, that he's a lying motherfucker.
I see Joe Biden giving softball after softball. I've seen all of his interviews. He's never been asked a question that's hard.
Okay, but forget him for a minute.
No, but you
You're
start with
president.
me.
You're president. And
Okay, but forget him for a minute. Acquiescing to the fact that, yeah, they recognize that, yeah, they don't ask him tough questions. Let's get on to you. Which I agree. Yeah, let's get on to Trump. Ask me a tough question and see how I shove it right back down your throat. That's the way I'd have been about it. But he's gonna do his impromptu, well, this interview's over.
Excuse me, Leslie, you started with me. Your first statement was, are you ready for tough questions?
are you?
That's no way to talk. There's no way to talk. I think we have enough of an interview here. Okay, that's enough. Let's go. Thanks.
Exactly. And look at her. She doesn't know what to say. She never got her interview. She was thinking she's going to get a good check out of that interview. She's going to expose him and ask him some tough questions. Let's take a look at the next one. Another one with...
Is slavery a universal human proclivity or not? And the answer to me to that, as far as I can tell, and I've done some research into the topic, is yes. It's the default mode of operation for human cultures has been slavery. And that might be a...
Listen to him. I think he makes a very good point here. I think he's spot on this. Because again, remember, the culture of man started at one point and evolved to what we have today. And in that, we still have modern day slavery, folks. Do not dismiss that. It is very much alive.
A consequence of our proclivity to engage in war. Because my suspicions are that the institution of slavery arose as a consequence of capturing enemy combatants, deciding not to kill them, which would...
Enemy combatants that could have only come upon a time where a large groups of people would be battling for the same natural resources within that same environment.
Would be the simple thing to do, and then utilizing them, and also feeling justified in doing that because, well, after all, they were trying to kill you, or there was a reason you were at war. And so we could say, well, slavery is the default condition for social organization. Is
the default condition for social organization, putting you in ranks. This is why we specifically even talk acknowledging that we have some kind of natural rights, human rights, that in our adept intellect, we still recognize that there are children that aren't quite as adept and need guidance, protection, all kinds of things until they're able to do it themselves. So there is a dependency. And even in that, like we saw yesterday in the clips, the one lady said, well, the owner, you know, even as parents, we believe we own those children. No, again, I urge you to understand we are all children of God. We are all God's children.
slavery a universal human proclivity or not? And the answer to me to that, as far as I can tell, and I've done some research into the topic, is yes. It's the default mode of operation for human cultures has been slavery. And that might be a consequence of our proclivity to engage in war. because my suspicions are that the institution of slavery arose as a consequence of capturing enemy combatants, deciding not to kill them, which would be the simple thing to do, and then utilizing them, and also feeling justified in doing that because, well, after all, they were trying to kill you, or there was a reason you were at war. And so
the cause becomes a reason. The war itself becomes a reason for slavery. So what is the war about? Again, every war we've ever had has been about natural resources, folks. And let's see here. Where is it?
What do you think the spirituality in that is, of capturing somebody and enslaving them instead of killing them?
I think mostly it bears in past times on the kingdoms themselves and the leaders in their power to rule their kingdom. The populace, seeing a great multitude of slaves being provided for them, would see it as a grandeur thing for the king, a victor of war. And again, that's the cause, the war. That's the breakdown of spirituality to begin with. But again, remember, that's that scriptural thing where the man begged for kings. If man is begging for an earthly king, then they've already lost their spiritual essence, or they don't recognize it. They haven't cognized it yet. That's why I think the one earlier was right. There's three aspects to our life: two metaversal aspects, the spirit and the thought, and then the physical is the actual physical presence that we think of as ourselves. So the last one, it goes to that trad wife again.
Are the tides turning? Yes, they are. A trad wife, Christian mother, homesteader of 7, just won the Miss America pageant. When asked what the best thing in her life is, she had this to say.
When have you felt the most empowered?
I have felt this feeling.
And this is what I was speaking about earlier. You feel empowered in your life when you can put forth a good example for your children and the younger generations and the people around you. That's the empowerment I'm talking about, and this is what she's speaking on.
7 times now, as I bring these sacred souls to the earth, after I hold that newborn baby in my arms, the feeling of mother.
Miss America, at an age where she's already had 7 children, speaking about the traditional American values. I wonder, is this one of the most perfect Miss Americas there could have been? She seems to me making very great qualified statement here. Please pay attention.
And bringing them to the earth is the most empowering feeling I have ever felt.
If you could imagine every last one of those children being angels, how more empowering can that be? I think we have to look at our children as angels rather than men and women. I think that might give us a better perspective on what we could do ourselves to help them become the very angels they're meant to be. And so with that, we come to the end of our stream. Again, I want to thank everybody for your support. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe button down there. There's a PayPal link down there for anybody that wants to share some love. And what do you got for us on the way out the door here, brother?
Thanks for letting me up.
You bet. Anytime. Appreciate everything that you have, and hope you'll come back.
All right.
Awesome. And you guys know me. I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. And that's to say, I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may God bless you, and have a good night. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
your mouth.